In this video, we will take a look at the 10 most dangerous prisons in the world. You can skip our detailed analysis of these prisons. Movies like The Shawshank Redemption, Escape Plan, and Escape from Alcatraz do not even come close to what actually happens behind bars. In this article, we are going to share with you a list of the 10 most dangerous prisons in the world. Believe it or not, there is such a thing as a safe prison. Unfortunately, we will not be mentioning those in this list. In correctional facilities where riots are common practice, murder and rape are normalized, and torture is something carried out for kicks, we have the 10 most dangerous prisons in the world. The notion behind prisons is to serve as a rehabilitation center for those who have been misled or have gone astray. Nobody is born a criminal, certain events bring out the darkness and evil in a person that makes them a monster. Many prisons around the world suffer from overcrowding, as you will read on to find that cells meant to contain only 10 inmates have been reported to hold over 100 inmates at a single time. One would think that the prison staff would be harsh with inmates, but who knew that the degree of harshness would be so high that these very officers would inflict torture, rape, and murder inmates due to their very own sadist persona. In some prisons, the guards were not the problem but in fact, the detainees were. The MS-13 gang is notorious for being part of the most violent and dangerous prison riots in history, killing officers and inmates like insects. However, prisons all over the world are going through drastic changes as governments are forced to increase transparency and curtail torture and human rights violations. Earlier this year, President Joe Biden signed an executive order to curtail the federal government's use of private prisons. This order is expected to affect prison rights like CoreCivic Incorporated, NYSE, CXW, and the Geo Group Incorporated, NYSE, Geo. On the other hand, prisons in the U.S. are upgrading their facilities through advanced reconnaissance technologies and AI. A key player in this domain is Palantir Technologies Incorporated, NYSE, PLTR. In 2018, it was reported that the company had provided the New Orleans Police Department, NOPD, with a predictive policing system. Palantir Technologies Incorporated, NYSE, PLTR, a Silicon Valley company, did not just stick to the States for its data analytics services but extended its reach to the Danish and Israeli governments as well. In 2016, Palantir Technologies Incorporated, NYSE, PLTR, signed an 84-month contract with the Danish National Police and Intelligence Services. To compile this list of the 10 most dangerous and even national security. The prison has been the witness to the most violent prison riot in the history of the U.S., the New Mexico State Penitentiary riot in 1980, when inmates took control over the entire prison and took 12 officers hostage. 33 inmates were killed in this riot. PNM cemented its place at number 10 in our list of the 25 most dangerous prisons in the world. Prison and surveillance companies like Palantir Technologies Incorporated, NYSE, PLTR, CoreCivic Incorporated, NYSE, CXW, and the Geo Group Incorporated, NYSE, Geo, are seeing an increasing demand of their solutions to tackle the problems of prisons. 9. Aniceo Jobim, Campoje, Penitentiary, Brazil. Aniceo Jobim Penitentiary is a prison in Brazil, which saw one of the most brutal prison riots anyone has ever seen. The inmates did not riot due to poor living conditions, officers were not the target. Rival gang members were. The riot took place on January 1 of 2017, between two factions, the Family of the North and the First Command of the Capital. The riot resulted in 56 inmates losing their lives at the expense of being tortured first then decapitated. 8. Mendoza Prison, Argentina. The Mendoza prison is located in Argentina and is notorious for its harsh living conditions. Inmates are forced to squeeze themselves in cells of 4 square meters each. They sleep on the floor without any mattresses, defecate in plastic bags, and urinate in bottles. These living conditions have caused Mendoza prison to become a site for riots. 22 inmates lost their lives in the prison between February 2004 and November 2005. 7. Attica Correctional Facility, USA. Attica Correctional Facility is a maximum security prison located in Attica, New York. It has been home to some of the worst criminals in the history of America and has been a site of prison violence. One of the worst riots took place in 1971 when the prison's residents overpowered prison staff and took 42 staff members hostage. The riot ended after 4 days, and 43 lives were lost, of which 33 were convicts and the rest were prison staff. It is not a surprise to see Attica among the top 10 of the 25 most dangerous prisons in the world. As calls for transparency increase, prison and surveillance companies like Palantir Technologies Incorporated, NYSE, PLTR, CoreCivic Incorporated, NYSE, CXW, and the GEO Group Incorporated, NYSE, GEO, will be forced to take measures to adapt to new governmental policies, especially in the U.S. 6. Butirka Prison, Russia. Russia is notorious for giving a hard time to people who are a menace to society. Butirka Prison is located in central Moscow and is the largest of Moscow's remand prisons. Not only is overcrowding an issue here, with cells meant to contain only 10 inmates being stuffed with over 100 inmates, but the prison also has a majority of health concerns associated with its name, with tuberculosis and HIV being primary diseases. 5. Dadmor Prison, Syria. Dadmor Prison has a reputation for being one of the most oppressive detainment facilities in the world, and this is why it is among the top 5 of our list of the 25 most dangerous prisons in the world. Detainees were tortured and killed by being dragged to death or being cut up using an axe. In the June of 1980, President Hafez al-Assad issued orders to soldiers to kill every prisoner in sight as a response to an attack on his life. The exact number of those massacred remains unclear to this date, but it is expected to exceed 1,000, all members of the Muslim Brotherhood. 4. La Sabaneta Prison, Venezuela. La Sabaneta was a notoriously oppressive, violent, and dangerous prison that had to shut down in 2013 as a result of a series of riots, poor living conditions, disorientation, and extensive human rights abuse. On January 3, 1994, a riot broke out due to ongoing gang activity. This very incident caused over 150 inmates to lose their lives, some at the hands of rival gang members, and some at the hands of the prison staff. Gang violence was a common practice here due to a lack of security personnel. In 2013, more than 69 residents of Sabaneta died, which led to it permanently closing its doors. 3. Petak Island Prison, Russia. Petak Island Prison is located on an island in Novozero Lake. It houses some of the most dangerous convicts in Russia, but they do not fear danger from one another since their interaction is limited due to being confined in small 2-man cells for 22.5 hours a day. The remaining 1.5 hours are spent in cages. Such adverse living conditions leave psychological bruises that severely deteriorate a person. The prisoners are not allowed any kind of education, are only allowed 2 short visits a year, are deprived of sanitary facilities, and are tortured beyond capacity. 2. Vladimir Central Prison, Russia. Vladimir Central Prison is the largest maximum security prison in Russia, where inmates serve sentences that range from 10 years minimum to life. The prison has the capacity to house 1,220 inmates, but as of today it is extremely overcrowded and ridden with diseases. Routine torture is a common sight at Vladimir Central. Prisoners are dragged out of their cells, made to put up their hands on a wall, and then whipped and beaten to death. 1. Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Located in Cuba, this America-owned prison was made to house Taliban and al-Qaeda suspects captured in Afghanistan. While President Obama, upon his election, vowed to close the prison, it is still fully operational to this day, holding 40 prisoners. Trump kept the prison open during his time at the White House, President Joe Biden wants to fulfill Obama's goal, and aims to close the controversial detainment facility where detainees are subjected to enhanced interrogation techniques such as waterboarding and sense deprivation. According to several reports, by May 2011, there had been at least 6 reported suicides in Guantanamo. During August 2003, there were 23 suicide attempts.